If you're fascinated by double Z fold cards, stay tuned and I'll show you how to make one. Hi, this is Sage Kimball and I'm the Mad Stamper with another technique video for card makers and paper crafters. I love double Z fold cards. They're intriguing to make and a treasure to receive. One reason I like to give them is that the card stands up by itself, so it gets displayed instead of getting stuck in a drawer. I used the Perched in a Tree bundle for the first double Z I made this season, but I didn't want to demonstrate coloring the bird with Stampin' Blends in this video. I made another design so we can just focus on card construction. This card uses dies from the Peaceful Poinsettias bundle from the 2018 holiday catalog. And the leaves that look the most like poinsettia leaves are from the Vintage Leaves bundle from around 2015 and 16. You may have these retired items, but if you don't, just find a flower or a tree or something that will make a good focal point for the card. I've created detailed templates and want you to download them now before continuing with the video. You can click on the eye in the top right corner of the YouTube video player or in my comments under the Facebook video. I got really confused when I created these cards and had to redo several cuts. I've made the templates with enough information that you shouldn't get as confused as I did. The first page has a template for the cardstock base and the band. It shows the scoreline measurements for each panel. The second page shows the measurements and colors of Designer Series paper for each panel. I'll be calling the paper DSP for short. In the past, I've only used one layer of cardstock or DSP, but in this card, I wanted more interest in the inside of the card. So I added another layer on top of each panel of the band. The template on this page shows not only the measurements to cut the DSP, but also the color for each panel. This is where I got really confused, so I hope this is helpful to you. The third page shows the measurements and colors of the DSP for the top layer of each panel of the band. I've cut a piece of Evening Evergreen cardstock 4¼ inches by 11 inches. This is the card base. Then I cut the band 2 inches by 11 inches. You can make the band any width you like based on the size of your focal point. I've made them as small as 1½ inches and as large as 2½. But you get to experiment to see what you like. Now I'll score the card base according to the template at 2¾ and 5½ inches. I'm using the Simply Scored tool from Stampin' Up! If you don't have a scoring board, you can use the scoring blade with your paper trimmer. Now I'll score the band at 5½ inches and 8¼ inches. Now I'll just fold along those score lines to help the band and the card base start to take shape. I've already cut all the DSP panels for the card, and now I'll start adhering them to the card base and the band. I like to use a liquid glue, as that allows me to nudge layers into place. Since I've developed trimmers in my hands, I need an adhesive that doesn't stick permanently as soon as I put layers together, like with a tape runner. First, I take 2 A panels of DSP, add glue, then adhere them to the card base. I've sped up the video so you won't get bored with all the repetition. Here you can see how I can just nudge the DSP into position before the glue sets. Now I'm going to speed up the video even more. You'll be able to see all the steps. It will just look like I drank too much coffee this morning. Okay, that's all the DSP that goes on the card base. Now I'll work on the band. First I'll add the red DSP to the long portion of the band. Panel C of the band is what you see when the card is closed. I wanted to pick up the red color in the poinsettia, so I made a layer of the red DSP and will put a layer of evergreen stripe on top of it. Now I'll add the green DSP on top of the red. I usually only use one layer on the panels of the band, but I thought the extra layer would add more interest to the inside of this card. For the two D panels, I put a layer of the green DSP on the cardstock . Now I'll add a piece of the red DSP on top of the green. I added a Christmas sentiment, which is heat embossed with silver embossing powder, which coordinates nicely with the silver poinsettia outline. I'm going to leave this last panel plain so I can write a short greeting on it. Next, I'm going to adhere the band to the base. It's important to get the band really straight on the card base. I'm going to make some small pencil marks to show the position where the top of the panel C will sit. I'm careful to put the glue on just half of the back of the C panel because the rest of the panel must be free to move. Then I glue the last D panel to the card base. If the C panel is straight on the card base, the last D panel should line up perfectly with the edge of the card. Now I can add the focal point to the front of the card. I position the poinsettia and leaves in a pleasing arrangement. Then I use a trick I developed years ago so they end up in the same configuration when they're adhered to the card. I lift the edge of one petal that overlaps a leaf and slip a glue dot between the layers. Then I repeat this with the other two leaves. Next, I turn the entire arrangement over and add dimensionals to the back. I use black dimensionals since the layers are dark. I use larger pieces over the areas between flower and leaves so that helps stabilize the arrangement. Remember, some of the focal point will sit past the band. I want to avoid putting dimensionals in those areas. I've removed the liners from the dimensionals, and now I can adhere the flower and leaves to the band. And that's it. I have another lovely double Z fold card to share with friends and family. I hope you'll try some in your craft room. Thanks for watching. Please like this video, share it with your friends, and leave me a comment. Don't miss another great video. Subscribe to the Mad Stamper YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button now. Then get your daily fix of projects and videos by following me at facebook.com/stampingmadly.